Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Patience. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you guys how I made this beautiful tiered tulle circle skirt with an elastic waist. Before we get started, kindly click the subscribe button. If you have done that, let's get into it. I'll be using 20 yards of soft tulle and 3 yards satin fabric. Using 2.5 yards of tulle, I've gone ahead to fold it into 2, as you can see. Now I'll fold it on bias into 4 and pin it down. So these are the folded edges. Now I am going to be marking my waist circumference. I'll be using my hip circumference as the waist circumference because I'll be attaching an elastic band. So my hip circumference is 44 inches. I'll divide that by 3.14 for a half circle. That is 14 inches. So I'll mark the 14 inches round this way and I'll mark the length of the skirt. So my total length is going to be 40 inches, but I'll be marking 30 inches here. I'll be attaching the remaining 10 inches later on. I'll mark the 30 inches round this way and I'll cut it out. On the waistline, I'll add ½ inch for sewing allowance. So this is what it looks like. I have both my front and my back pieces, and these are the side seams. Using the satin fabric as the lining, I'll also be cutting it out this way. So I'll mark what I have on the waist. Remember, I used my hip circumference. So half of my hip circumference is 22 inches. I'll be using the rest as side seam. And like I said, I'll be attaching the remaining 10 inches for the length of the skirt. So now I am going to cut it out on my lining. I'll be doing the same thing. I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 4 on bias this way, and I'll also be marking the 14 inches round, and I'll mark the length of the lining. I'll also be using 30 inches, and I'll add 1 inch for hemming allowance. So this is how it came out. I have my front and my back pieces for the lining. I'm going to keep this aside. Now I'm cutting out the tulle. Using 10 yards by 60 inches length, I've gone ahead to fold it into 2, into 4, and into 8. Now I am going to mark the starting line and I'll cut out the 10 inches I'll add on the hem. So I'll be adding 2 layers of 10 inches. So I am marking 10 inches and another 10 inches. I'll cut it out. So after cutting it out, you can decide to make gathers or you can make pleats. So this is it. I'll be making 2 layers of 10 inches length on the hem. Now I'll make double gather stitch. So if you don't have a gather foot, you can make double gather stitch on ½ inch and gather the tulle. But I'll be using a gather foot. I'll be showing you guys how to do it. Using a gather foot, I'll be sewing on ½ inch on the 10 inches length that I just cut out. So I'll make my gathers on both the pieces. And I am using a normal stitch. So if you want a very full gathers, you can use a loose stitch. So this is how it came out. I'll be attaching it on the hem. I've gone ahead to sew the side seam, as you can see. So I'll be attaching the ruffle on the hem for the first layer. So I'll be sewing on ½ inch. Okay, I'll be attaching it this way. So in case it is not enough, I am going to join. As you can see, it will not be enough. So I'm going to join another 10 inches to this way. I'll join it by ½ inch. So I'll be showing you guys how to join it. On the lining, I've also joined the side seam, and this is how it came out. I'm going to keep this aside. I've gone ahead to join both 10 inches, as you can see. So now I'll be sewing on 1/2 inch, and I'll start from at least 1 inch from the side seam, as you can see me do. And I'll sew on 1/2 inch round this way. So when I get to the starting point, I'll also join both edges and sew on 1/2 inch. So this is it. I used the whole 20 inches width for the gathers. So for the second layer, I'll be cutting another 10 inches, and I'll cut another 10 inches just in case it is not enough. So these are for the second layer. So for the third and the fourth layer, I'll be using 8 inches length. So I'll mark 8 inches and another 8 inches, as you can see. So these are for the third and the fourth layer. So I'll go ahead and make my gathers also. So this is it. I've made my gathers for the second layer. Now I am going to be attaching it to the skirt. As you can see, I've gone ahead to mark from the 1/2 inch. I've gone ahead to mark 5 inches space for the second layer. So I marked the 5 inches round and also on the other side, as you can see. So from the 5 inches, I marked 4 inches for the third layer. That is where I'm going to be attaching the 8 inches length of tulle. Remember, I cut out 2, so I'll be marking another 4 inches from the 4 inches I just marked. So this is for the fourth layer. So I used 10 here, 10 here. I'll be using 8 and 8 here. So from this 4 inches, I'll be marking 3 inches round this way. And I'll also be marking another 3 inches. Now I'll be attaching the other 10 inches on the second layer. So this is the 10 inches and this is 8 inches. So I'll be attaching these 8 inches on this 4 inches line that I marked. Remember, I cut out 2 8 inches, so I'll be attaching the other 8 inches on the 4 inches line. So this 3 inches line, I'll be cutting out 6 inches length of tulle. So this is it. I've gone ahead to mark it out and I'll cut it out. For the 5th and 6th layer, I'll also be using my gather foot to make my gathers. So I've attached the 8 inches length, as you can see. That is the 3rd and the 4th layer. Remember, I marked 3 inches and another 3 inches for the 5th and the 6th layer. So I'll be attaching the 6 inches length of tulle here. Now from these 3 inches, I'll be marking. So from these 3 inches, I'll be marking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 inches. I'll be leaving 1 inch on the waist. I'll go ahead and extend the lines this way, as you can see. So for the 5th layer, this is the 6 inches length that I just cut out. So I'll be attaching it on the 3 inches line and I'll be attaching another 6 inches length on the other 3 inches line. I've done that. I've attached the 5th and the 6th layer. Now I'll be attaching on this 1 inch that I marked. So I've gone ahead to cut out 4 inches for the 7th and the 8th layer. So this is 4 inches. I cut out 2. I'll be placing it on the 1 inch, and this is the 7th layer. And I also cut out another 4 inches length. Like I said, it is going to be the 8th layer. So I'll be attaching it on the other 1 inch guideline that I marked. So for the 9th and the 10th layer, I am going to be using 3 inches for the 9th layer and 2 inches for the 10th layer. So I'll connect it and cut it out and also make my gathers. So I've gone ahead to attach the 7th and the 8th layer on the 1 inch that I marked. So I noticed the 8th layer is the same length as the 7th layer, so I left 1 inch, as you can see, and I attached it on the other 1 inch. So it's as though I left 2 inches from the 7th and the 8th layer. So I'm left with about 6 layers now. So I ironed it out, as you can see. So this is the 3 inches length for the 9th layer that I just cut out, and this is the 2 inches length for the 10th layer. So I'll go ahead and attach both. On the guidelines that I marked, I have 4 layers left. So I've attached the 3 inches and the 2 inches length, as you can see. So to attach the remaining layer, I am going to be marking 2 inches on the 4 layers that I have left. So I'll cut them out and also make my gathers. So remember, I am using 20 yards of tulle. I was thinking it was not going to be enough. So as you can see, I still have this left. So I'll be cutting out 8 inches and another 8 inches. I'll be attaching these on the hem just for extra fullness. So I'll be attaching it on the part that I used 8 inches length. Now for this 2 inches length, I'll be showing you guys how I'll gather this. Okay, using my gathered foot, remember this is 2 inches, so I'll be sewing on the midpoint, which is 1 inch. Like I said, instead of making gathers, you can make pleats. So this is how it came out. I am going to press it down. So this is how it looks like. I've gone ahead to press it down. Now I'll be attaching it on the guideline. That is the 11th layer. So I'm folding the edge this way and I'll place it on the 1 inch line, and I'll make sure that the midpoint is aligned with the 1 inch. So the midpoint of the gathers that I made is aligned with the 1 inch, and I'll sew it down this way, as you can see me do. So just in case it is not enough, I am going to fold another edge this way and place it on top and continue to sew on the 1 inch. And when I get to the end, I am going to fold in the edge this way and also place it on the other edge and join it together. So that's how I'm going to attach the rest. And for the 12th and the rest layer, I am going to trim out the edges this way. After trimming, I'll ensure it is 1.5 inches. I'll do the same on the other layers and attach it the same way. So this is it. These are the 14 layers in total. For now, remember I said I have extra tulle, so I'll be attaching it on the hem. So remember I used 10 inches on the first and the second layer. So the third and the fourth layer, I am going to be attaching the 8 inches I already cut out. Remember I marked 4 inches space here, so I'll be attaching it on 2 inches. So these are the 8 inches. I've made my gathers and I've also ironed it. So I measured round and I joined the edges. Okay, so I'll be attaching it now to the skirt. At that point I marked 4 inches before I attached the 8 inches, and I'll also attach the second one on the second 8 inches. Remember it is still 4 inches space, so I'll attach it on 2 inches space. So this is it. I've done that. Okay, so I have 2 inches space on the third and the fourth layer. So this is how beautiful it came out. So I have 16 layers in total. Now I'll be attaching the lining. So I'll place it inside this way. The right side of the lining is facing the wrong side of the skirt. I'll align the side seam and I'll join the waist by 1/2 inch. I've done that. I've joined round by 1/2 inch. So for the waistband, I'll be using this elastic band. The width is my waist circumference. I minused 5 inches and I added 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I'll place it this way and I'll join by 1/2 inch. So for the elastic casing, I used a crepe fabric for this. But in case you have the same color of elastic band, so you don't have to create a casing anymore, you just attach the elastic band that way. So the elastic band is 1.5 inches and the casing is 2 inches. I'll be using 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. As you can see, I ironed an interfacing on the elastic band and the width is my hip circumference plus 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I'll be placing the right sides this way and sew on the 1 inch. After doing that, I am going to attach it to the skirt. So I'll be placing it this way and I'll sew round by 1/2 inch. This is how it is going to come out. I'll leave about 2 inches space to pass my elastic band. I've done that. I've attached the casing. I've also ironed it. And this is the space I left to pass my elastic band. Using a safety pin, I am going to pass my elastic band through this way. After passing it through, I'll join by 1/2 inch and I'll also join the opening. I've done that and this is how beautiful it came out. So I'm going to serge round. Now to keep the elastic band in place, I am going to be sewing on the midpoint of the elastic band. I'll make sure the gathers are even and then I'll expand it this way and sew on the midpoint, as you can see me do. So this is how beautiful it came out. And we have come to the end of this tutorial. If you have not subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? If this was helpful, kindly give this video a thumbs up, click on the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.